What's going on, everybody? This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tone, and this is your weekly gear news update. It's Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. Before we get into the news, do me a quick favor, if you would. Hit the subscribe button and the like button, little bell next to it, so you know when we have new content coming out. We got a bunch of new stuff. I'm pretty stoked about this. If you like guitar stuff, make sure you do that. Hit the subscribe and the like and the little bell and all that. Here's why. We've got the news on Wednesday. We got a live stream on Thursday, which is an FAQ where we hang out together and answer and ask questions and just generally have fun. It's pretty awesome. On Mondays, we have a guitar related video, you know, some sort of technical Dylan Talks Tone kind of thing. Classic Dylan Talks Tone day. And then Tuesday, we got a new podcast available on all the streaming platforms, all the major ones. And then there's a video version on YouTube and on Spotify. So pretty stoked about it. We had Runway Audio, Austin Woodruff from Runway Audio on this week. Next week's guest is going to be pretty cool too. I will probably announce that Thursday at our live stream, what next week's guest is. And each podcast has its own little Patreon section. So check it out. All right, news. First, we're going to talk about guitar picks. Dunlop has released the Jazz 3 Rock Custom Nylon. This is for high gain shredders. Now, I guess it doesn't do jazz. So this is a Jazz 3 for shredders, which is basically the same thing, just with more gain. It's a joke, calm down. Basically what they did is they just kind of changed the edges of this thing, apparently for taming off, you know, crazy highs and, you know, just basically how you attack the string, give you more speed if you're a shredder. Let's see, I guess, has it been a year since Moore launched their GTRS guitar? It's like this, it looks sort of like a Strat, but it's got a bunch of electronics in it and you can change effects. It's like a basswood body and a maple neck and a, you know, rosewood fretboard. It's a nice guitar, but it's got a bunch of effects in it. Kind of the 21st century melding of effects with a regular guitar that you can actually play. That's not kind of a joke to play. So anyway, that's the Moore guitar. So now they've just come out with the PTNR, which is a tiny, tiny little compact Bluetooth amp to go with that guitar. 2.2 inch speaker, I think. Said it's tuned for bass frequencies. So even though it's tiny, hopefully it should sound pretty good. We just had last week the Positive Grid Baby Spark come out, which I believe those are available for pre-order now, according to the news sources that I saw. So you can get those too. But this is a cool trend, these little tiny, tiny amps, so that you have something to take with you everywhere. And people are like, I think they're kind of dumb, but they've been doing this for a long time. I remember pig noses. Do you remember pig noses? These are way better than pig noses. Kma Machines has come out with a new pedal that it's a noise gate, a boost circuit, and it has a transformer in it to basically up the input of the guitar into the amp. I kind of thought about this for a minute, tried to figure out why you would do this, but I just don't know that I would use that part. But what I really think is cool is the noise gate, because there is basically a built-in effects loop on this pedal. So you could use it in your signal chain to isolate the noise from the amp, or let's say, you know, like from one channel of an amp, or let's say you could use it to isolate one pedal, or you could just put it on your whole pedal board. So that's pretty cool, a cool way to implement a noise gate. Of course, it has a boost in it as well. And that input transformer, read more about that at their website, because I don't really understand why I would use that particular implementation. California-based Silktone has just come out with a new fuzz pedal. Now, the cool part about this fuzz pedal, it's 2 germanium transistors, so it's a proper germanium fuzz. The problem with germanium is temperature can affect how the transistor acts. They're kind of finicky. So you kind of have to basically pick a bias on the transistor when you build the pedal, and then That's what it is. The problem is the pedal will then sound different at various, it could, in certain circumstances, not all the time, but certain circumstances, sound different in different temperatures, which is weird, right? It's not really weird, but it's kind of weird. So what they did is they put a digital bias and then gave you control of that on the front of the pedal with a little digital readout. You can bias the transistor on the fly how you want it to sound, and then once you understand what that thing is doing and how it's acting, if you just remember your little numbers that you like, you just dial them in when it's really, really hot outside, or when the transistor is working a certain way, or there is heat from somewhere. You can adjust it one way, and when there isn't, you can adjust it a different way, and you can compensate in your sound on the fly, which is an interesting concept for how to do this. I've never seen it before, giving you control on the front of the pedal. Apparently way back in the beginning of DoD pedals, there was a very low number of pedals that were in different enclosures. You know, he's just getting started doing his thing, right? Well, apparently Josh Scott from JHS found one of these, didn't even know what it was, had to consult and figure out, you know, what this thing actually was, but it was number 75 of all DoD pedals ever, and it was called the DoD 250, and it was basically an overdrive preamp, but it was very, very early, and it was like unobtainium. And so he went ahead and, you know, made his version of that thing. Apparently he found another one, and the clipping settings were different, so he made it to where you could switch back and forth. So now you have the JHS Overdrive preamp, which is, apparently nobody really knows what this thing is anyway, because nobody's ever really had the real pedal that it's derived from, which is kind of cool. Not nobody, but very few, which is very interesting. So apparently, thank you, Josh, for stumbling onto this pedal and bringing a version of it to life in 2022. Fender has partnered with Andertons to make a, remember the HM Strat, heavy metal Strat, a long time ago? Then I think they kind of reissued it. Anyway, they're basically taking a Mexican, I think it's a Players Series Strat, pretty much. Yeah, I would say it's a Players Series Strat because it's got Players Series pickups in it. Single hum, Ferrari yellow, apparently, according to the article that I read, with that black pickguard, kind of fast and cool looking, pretty interesting thing. Yeah, cool. You can order one from Anderton's website. Dean has come out with a new model of their Thoroughbred Select series. So this is a single cut kind of body, you know, their version of it with nice block inlays, really pretty looking, super pretty top. A couple of different colors, I think. Floyd Rose 1000 series tremolo and Seymour Duncan pickups. This guitar is pretty sick feature-wise, and I think it's only going to be about $1,100, like $1,099, which makes a lot of sense. It's a really, really cool guitar. I have a friend of mine that plays one of these actually, and demos a bunch of stuff for a lot of companies with one of these guitars. It's very cool. Make sure you check it out at their website, or I will leave a link to as much of this stuff as I can find in the description below. Sometimes some of the stuff's not out yet, but see if you can find it down there. If you do use those links, it does help out the channel, so I do appreciate it. Yeah, cool guitar. Speaking of cool guitars, I figured I'd show you this one. So this is the guitar that we built over a few months on our Patreon Hangouts. Yeah, we do this once a month. Usually it's the last Monday of the month. We hang out for a couple hours on live on Zoom, and there's a level for it over there at patreon.com. You can check it out. And yeah, so we put this together. We actually wound the pickups live. We wired it up live. We did the fretwork live. We installed the tuners. We made the nut, did all that stuff live. We kind of put this thing all together. It was kind of fun. Just kind of learning along the way, asking questions, that sort of thing. It's kind of cool. If you want to join us for one of these little workshop things, you can click the button below. Also, make sure you check out our new podcast, as well as our other content that we got going on this channel. We got a live stream coming out tomorrow night on Thursday. I think you're going to dig it. Also, I've got some other really cool content coming that I'm gonna go shoot this weekend in another state. So I think you're gonna dig that as well. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you. Oh, my Line 6 Catalyst gets here this afternoon. So expect an unboxing of that, maybe on Instagram, TikTok, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That should get here this afternoon. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.